on the proof of age scheme, which is PASS, present and future. So my name is Mel Brown. I'm the CEO of PASS. I'm a qualified lawyer with a background in governance. I joined PASS in November 2022, having ironically come across PASS as my son, who was 16 at the time, wanted to go to Reading Festival and wanted to take his passport, and I was like, absolutely not. So then what else could he bring? So that's how I came across PASS. So today I'm going to talk about, someone going to change the slides for me? Thank you. A few things. The background and context in which PASS was created to give you an understanding of our history, the need to prevent underage sales and some of the initiatives in place in this regard, the physical pass card, which has been our bread and butter up until now. And this also includes some of the reasons why people have applied for pass cards and some recent research that's been done courtesy of Citizens Card, which has given us an insight into the various age groups and what they mostly use their pass card for. I'll then talk about our vision for DPass, which is digital pass, and the benefits of the variety of stakeholders. I'll quickly touch on the alignment between the pass standards and the DSIP framework, a bit more about the change that's happening and the solution to DPass, and the benefits of the scheme to the retail and hospitality sector. And then I'll talk about timelines and next steps. And then I'll pass all the questions over to my trusty colleagues to answer on my behalf. Right, here we go. So, really importantly for me, PASS is a community interest company. We are not for profit company. We provide accreditation to suppliers of proof of age cards, and which is endorsed by the Home Office, Police and Security Industry Authority. So you can see the SIA sign just under the finger just there. As mentioned by Anne earlier on today, Baroness McIntosh, we were set up in 2001 to develop a recognised way of endorsing proof of age schemes due to the UK not having a national identification card, unlike many other countries. So people who didn't drive or have a passport had difficulty proving their proof of age when purchasing age-restricted products such as tobacco and alcohol. To become a card issuer under PASS, you're assessed against strict standards by qualified auditors, which we contract in, to ensure that all our PASS issuers are operating to the highest standards. This ensures that the sellers of age-restricted products can be confident in accepting cards with a PASS hologram, which you can see just in the picture there, safe in the knowledge that the scheme is supported by the appropriate stakeholders. So initially, when we started off, we had 4 standards. The first one was about our general principles and definitions, which was applicable to all PASS accredited providers and detailed lots of common terms and definitions that we use in the remaining standards. We have PASS 1, which is requirements for identity and age verification, and which establishes the minimum verification for application, methods of verification, processes, procedures, and the requirements for photographs and names. That means all applications follow a standard format. PASS 2 looks at the requirement for EID verification identity, and PASS 3, looks at the data protection and privacy requirements. When we get to PASS 4, it talks about the requirements of the proof of card, and it's about how the card is constructed and its design, so that all our PASS cards look very similar. So there's no dispute when someone's presented with a PASS card. So all our accredited providers are required to comply with the latest version of the PASS standards, which was reviewed by the board on a regular basis. 2 years ago, the Home Office invited PASS to develop an industry standard on the proof of age, which was approved by the board a couple of years ago. To achieve PASS Standard 5, which is a digital proof of age standard, an issuer must make an interoperability statement setting out how the solution will work interchangeably with solutions from other users. PASS has worked with a variety of stakeholders to consult on a solution which has a broad consensus, which has a broad consensus amongst all. If you go on to the next slide, I've just there listed. I'm not planning to go through those. You'll be pleased to know the different various proofs of ages that exist. So we can move on if that's okay. So as I mentioned earlier, the physical pass scheme has been our bread and butter to date. And as I mentioned just a while ago, that there are the 4 standards. We have 2 national and 2 local issuers. and we have over 6 million physical cards in circulation. A pass card is recognised as a GPG, which is a good practice guide, 45 document, which after passports and driving licence is a valid proof of age. So what do the stats tell us about the use of pass cards? I was hoping I could see that, but I can't. Can you see it? No. Okay. Well, you'll be pleased to know that I've got it written down here. So cards are mostly used to be able to for individuals to enter and buy alcohol at bars and pubs. So 45% of people that hold pass cards in this survey, which was conducted by Citizen Card, so 45% use their card for that purpose in 2024, compared with 39% in 2023. Then you've got another 32% who will use the card to enter or buy alcohol at nightclubs. So it's really about the nighttime economy. This is compared to 27% in 2023. Like my son, many buy to have the pass card to enter into concerts and festivals and to buy alcohol at these venues. That's 27% in 2024 compared with 24% in 2023. Cardholders also use the card here to vote in future elections, and that's decreased slightly in 2024 from 27% in 2023. And then you've got also people using the cards to buy lottery, scratch cards, alcohol or insolvents from shops, and that's 22% in 2024 compared with 18% in 2023. So compared to 2024 and 2023, there's been a slight increase in usage in the pass card in the nighttime economy, though this remains the key use of the card to date. If you go on to the next slide. I don't know whoever's doing that, thank you. Right, okay, so let's look at pass card by age group. What are the main reasons the various different ages use the pass card for? So the first one, for 16 to 17-year-olds, the main reason is for energy drinks and travel. And I can attest to that because my son keeps buying Red Bull. The next one is the nighttime economy, is the main reason for those who purchase a card 18 plus. 1 in 4 16 to 17-year-olds use a card to create digital ID. And nearly 1 in 5 of 18 plus year olds use it for the same purpose. Can we move on? Okay, so what's our vision for Digital Pass? Okay, so what does it look like for consumers? So what consumers would like is when they present their digital proof of age on their phone, shops and pubs will accept it because they know it's legitimate, in the same way they do with our physical cards. That they can choose between a number of different issuers or providers of the digital proof of age scheme, which may offer other benefits as well. In terms of digital issuers, they can sell their scheme to people who want to use digital proof of age, confident that they'll be accepted, and people will be able to use it everywhere. They will not have to compete against issuers who do not work to pass standards because they won't be a credible option. For acceptors, they want to be able to train their colleagues on one system for accepting all digital proof of age for all products. That they take part for free or integrate DPass into their systems at a low cost, and that they will not miss out on any sales of age-restricted products for people who are not old enough to buy them. In terms of enforcement, what are they looking for? They can check a business is operating to a consistent set of standards for accepting digital proof of age, and there won't be an excuse for people saying they don't know about it or they couldn't accept it. Next slide. So I've just gone here really, really quickly about how PASS overlaps with the DSIT, which is Department of Science, Innovation and its Technology. I won't go through that. That's just really there for information purposes, so we would just move on. So the changes come in. So you might have heard Baroness McIntosh mention earlier about the consultation that came out, I think it was in January, and closed on the 30th of March. So the UK government are progressing to change the 2003 alcohol licensing agreement to enable digital proof of age to be used for the sale of alcohol. So they consulted on that, and that consultation closed last month. So we believe that we are, as part of a universal acceptance scheme, are leading the change in creating a universal agreed industry standard by providing a single mechanism in which any retail or hospitality business can accept proof of age in a trusted and verified manner. This provides retailers an opportunity to get ahead of the curve and prepare for a change that will enable them to unlock previously inaccessible efficiencies. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about the solution now. Bear with me on my technical knowledge, but I have my notes, as I say. So how will it work? What does it look like? Okay, so what you have here is a location QR code, which is a secure code with specific information that can only be read by an approved pass issuer. Yep. In that QR code will be the likes of a retailer brand, the location, and we can even go down to a sub-location. So we can tell you someone in Tesco's used checkout 3 on the 13th of April, for example. Importantly, the location data contained in the location QR will be displayed on the digital proof of age along with a timestamp, so it tells you the time, which provides a simple visual confirmation to members that age verification was activated in that location at that time and by reading the encoded QR code. Additional safeguards include the issuer generating a dynamic QR code, which means QR codes on the digital proof of age would continuously change. So you couldn't then take a picture of it and then pass it to your friend. You wouldn't trust teenagers because they will do that. The QR code is encoded with information about the issuer, the age check result showing in a digital proof of age, for example, citizen's card as an issuer, and the fact that the result provided was an 18 plus. So, when a customer purchases alcohol at self-checkout, they'll be really clear what the proof of age would look like, and if it wasn't appropriate, then that transaction would be suspended. The key principles of the scheme is that it's been designed for privacy by design and that there's no data stored or transmitted. So people are always the custodian of their own data. If you go on to the next slide. So in terms of the retail and hospitalities benefits, the scheme has been designed to provide customers with a convenient and simple way for them to digitally prove their age across a broad range of retail and hospitality channels, and to support the adoption by the acceptor community by scaling to meet the specific needs of local, independent and national multi-channel operators. Acceptors will have the choice of operating in a standalone mode or integrating their system with the scheme. The integrated mode can be used to automate the age verification process, removing staff intervention and customer friction in the payment process. This may be particularly beneficial in self-service environments where it can enhance customer experience, staff productivity and compliance. Under the scheme, there'll be numerous ways to validate the digital proof of age presented on the customer's mobile device, but we broadly support that various customer channels and interaction points as seen on the slide here today. So if you just go on to the last slide, we've looked at some approximate time scales on which we're hoping to trial things. So there's been a slight amendment to lab trials. I think we've got here April 2024, but I think that's moving perhaps to June, and then the pilot perhaps to September. So yeah, happy to take any questions. That felt a little bit painless, so it'd be really nice with the questions, but I've got, as I said, I've got my trusty people to help me answer the questions. Any questions? Have I managed to blind you with science? Ian.
Microphone, so I speak really quietly. I was really interested in the stats that you provided. And I wondered whether you had any stats on where it's been rejected or people don't accept pass cards, because that's going to be key going forward in terms of, voting in elections. There were stories in the last election that people tried to use their pass card and it wasn't accepted.
Absolutely.
So do you have any stats on that?
I will start by answering a few questions and I might pass on to you, Andrew. So we often get lots of queries or concerns raised to us via the website where people's cards have not been accepted, and we monitor that on a board level. And then I know that the card issuers, because I follow up with them, they will go to the various different organisations or nightclubs and say, actually, why weren't you accepting a pass card, and try and educate them on what to look for when accepting pass cards. In terms of numbers, can I pass on to you, Andrew?
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully I don't need a microphone, you can probably hear me. need. Oh, okay. Yes, I forgot about those online people. Sorry. Hello. Yeah, so those stats were from Citizen Card Research. Every year we ask thousands of our card holders how they use their card, what problems they've had with their card, what refusals. And first of all, I have quite a lot of research. If anyone's interested in more than was on display there, just come and find me afterwards, give me a card or send me a message, and I'm happy to share that. So card refusals obviously is a thing. We work constantly, particularly in the licensed trade, in the nighttime economy, because that's the number one reason young people want ID, is to use in the nighttime economy. But there are premises that will say, we'll only accept passports and driving licenses. That's why we now have a validation app that from July is going to be able to validate every single physical pass card that is issued, including Young Scott and Totem NUS. So that's a great plus on there. Voter ID, Mel actually got it the wrong way around. It's actually it's a year on year. It's a year on year. So two things on the stats. It's a year on year increase in the number of people getting the card for voter ID, as you'd perhaps expect, and actually a year on year slight decrease in use in the nighttime economy. That almost certainly because of cost of living crisis and people just, it's well documented that the nighttime economy is in trouble. And that's the decline. But despite that, it remains the number one reason why people need ID. People do still go to bars, clubs and pubs, just less than they were, hopefully in the future, more again. But voter ID is a huge increase. The May local elections last year was the first time the voter ID law came into effect. And there were isolated cases where people had problem using their pass card, almost certainly because the guidance that the Electoral Commission had issued to the polling station officers was not adequate. That has been improved hugely this time. We know that because PASS works with the Electoral Commission, and the guidance now is much clearer on what to look for in a pass card. Plus, I'm sure all the pass card issuers are doing their own promotion of pass cards as a valid form of voter ID. We've got the May elections coming up this year. Not likely, well, no, it won't be a general election day now, but big enough elections, mayoralties in various parts of the country and some local English elections. And then, of course, the big one in the autumn, or possibly January, no later than January 2025, where voter ID laws will apply also for the first time north of the border, as well as south. So that will be a huge new use case for physical ID. But very happy to share the research on card usage. I think in terms of digital pass cards, reasons why people want digital pass cards probably are going to be broadly similar from a proof of age perspective to use in the nighttime economy, to use in cinemas, in all places where they want to know your age. And one thing I noted, someone this morning asked the PASS chairman, the good Baroness, will the increase in digital ID mean there's any need for physical ID? My answer to that, as a purveyor of physical ID, is of course that as more and more people use ID on their phone, they won't necessarily also need physical ID. But physical pass cards are a trusted GPG 45 high score source ID. And although Mel very kindly suggested I might become a digital issuer as Citizen Card, I'm actually invested in maintaining our reputation as a leading issuer of source ID. And all those millions of people who will be creating their digital identities with whoever are going to need to prove who they are, and they will need a source ID. So the curve on digital ID demand will go up like this, but actually that also means the physical trusted source ID demand will also go up. And 20% of the population don't have a passport or a driving license to create their digital ID with.
I'm just going to cut him off because he will talk. We'll just keep talking. I just wanted to back him up on that and say we've had lots of communication with the Electoral Commission on voter ID, which has been really, really good and useful. So lots of collaboration work going on there. Any other questions? I'm going to get Andrew to answer them, so that's fine. Keep coming. Perfect. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much.